Hello, Corbin and Lorraine. Today, Papa is not going to teach you anything. I'm simply sharing another step in a journey that has fascinated me for most of my life. A search for the answer to a very old question: who am I? In our last conversation, we explored the possibility that perhaps we are not merely the body. The body changes continuously, yet something remains present through all those what they think, what they believe, what they like, what they dislike, and what they remember. It is easy to assume that the mind is who we are. Before we investigate that assumption, let me share a thought inspired by the Katha Upanishad. The sages observe that the mind is a wonderful instrument, but it is also restless. It rarely sits still. If you watch your own mind for even a few minutes, you will discover something interesting. Thought appears, thought disappears, new thought arrive, old thoughts leave. The process never seems to stop. Moment you are thinking about school, the next moment of friends. Then a memory appears, then worry, then a plan, then something completely unrelated. The mind seems to wander endlessly. Many years ago, I noticed something curious. The thought that occupies my mind when I was 10 years old are mostly gone. The thought that occupied my mind when I was 20 are gone too. The concern that seemed so important 50 years ago have almost completely disappeared. Even my opinion have changed. Things I once believed strongly, I no longer believe. Things I once dismissed, I now appreciate. If thoughts define who I am, then every time my thoughts change, I should become a different person. Yet that does not seem to happen. Something remains present while thoughts come and go. Let's look a little deeper. Have you ever said, I am confused, or I am worried, or I am happy? Think carefully about those statements. How do you know you are confused? How do you know you are worried? How do you know you are happy? There must be something that notices that confusion, something that notices the worry, something that notices the happiness. Otherwise, how could you report it? Imagine you are sitting beside a river. The water flows continuously. You watch it pass. The river moves. You remain on the bank. In a similar way, thoughts seem to flow through the mind. Anger comes, joy comes, fear comes, excitement comes, memories come, plans come. The contents of the mind keep changing. Yes, something seemed to be watching the flow. The Katha Upanishad encourages us to look carefully at this fact. Can the observer be the same as the observed? Let us consider a simple example. If you are looking at a tree, you know that you are not a tree because you can observe it. If you are holding a book, you know that you are not the book because you can observe it. Likewise, if you can observe a thought, then perhaps you are not the thought. If you can observe fear, perhaps you are not the fear. If you can observe the happiness, perhaps you are not the happiness. If you can observe confusion, perhaps you are not the confusion. This realization was very important in my own life. Like everyone else, I experienced periods of sadness, frustration, anxiety, and certainly at times those feelings seemed overwhelming. But eventually I began to noticing something. Even when sadness was present, there was something that knew sadness was present. Even when worry was present, there was something that knew worry was present. The memory, the emotion changed, the knowing remained. The thought changed, the knowing remained. The mood changed, the knowing remained. Gradually, I began to asking myself, what is this knowing? What is this silent presence that notices every thought without coming the thought? The more I observed, the more mysterious it became. The mind is constantly changing. Sometimes it is peaceful, sometimes restless, sometimes clear, sometimes confused, sometimes moving, sometimes angry. Yet, the ability to know these changes remain remarkably constant. It is almost like sitting in a movie theater. Scene appears on the screen. Some are happy, some are sad, some are exciting, some are frightening. The movie changes constantly, but the screen remains untouched. Perhaps thoughts are like scenes in movie, and perhaps there is something within us that is like the screen. The sages did not ask to believe this. They asked us to investigate it, to observe directly, to look carefully, to discover for ourselves. So, I invite you to try small experiment. Sit quietly a minute. Do nothing. Simply watch your thoughts. Do not stop them. Do not encourage them. Just watch. You may discover that thoughts arrive on their own and live on their own. And if you are watching them come and go, then who is the watcher? That question became another important step in my search. If I am not merely my body, and if I am not merely my thoughts, then perhaps I need to look deeper still. What is this silent observer that notices everything and every experience? What is it that remains present until thoughts, emotions, and memories continuously change? That is where our journey now leads. Before we continue our journey, there is another part of ourselves that deserves careful attention. Our thoughts come and go almost on their own. But then something begins to judge those thoughts. It decides, it compares, it reasons, it says this is right, that is wrong, I understand, or perhaps I don't understand. The sages call this faculty the intellect. It is one of the greatest gifts we possess. Without it, we could not learn, discover, invent, or solve problems. But an important question remains. Is the intellect what I truly am? Or is it to another instrument that I use? And what about the quiet feeling behind it that says, I know? Could that also be part of what I have mistaken myself to be? That is where our journey now leads. In our next conversation, we shall explore the intellect itself. Can the one who says, I know, also be observed? And if it can, then who is the observer? Until then, Corbin and Lauren, do not believe what Papa says. Look for yourself, ask honestly, who am I? The answer is not hidden in the book. It is hidden in the one who is asking the question. If you have questions, then know that you have embarked on a journey very few dare to embark.